the revelation for me is that all of the worry and anxiety about her is mine. Yeah, I mean, this is a huge thing again for everybody. Like, wow, I've mentioned this a bit, but it's so good to hear your experience. Um, as parents, we can bring a great deal of stress and anxiety to the picture that is just totally unproductive, like completely self-defeating. Um, so we've got to learn to take responsibility for our own stress and anxiety and not bring that into the relationship, piling the pressure on and creating a load of noise and discomfort and anxiety for them. Yeah, I mean, that's a parenting classic, don't you think? I think it is. Like for me, I can relate to that 100%. So yeah, you said me doing a number on myself and that she is genuinely doing okay. So this is back to like what I was saying at the beginning. Let's take stock of like what's actually, sometimes I meet parents, we even work together and there isn't much of a problem. I still know there's good work I can do with that young person because, distrust is usually pervasive in schooling systems, society, whatever, and there's work to be done. And I just feel like I have a lot to give young people when I'm in that space with them, good relationship with them. But, often it is a question of just going to the parent, like, there isn't actually much of a problem here. Like, let's not try and find problems. Because we're working together and like let's just go, okay, everything's great and crack on with the maths. If we've got a good relationship, crack on with the maths and English, and there isn't anything really to kind of delve into. So things are going well. Let's just admit that things are going well, even if we still feel really anxious and a lot comes up for us. Like, which parent doesn't wake up in the middle of the night with some like sickening story going on, whether that's based in any kind of reality or not. That happens. Stuff comes up where you're like, oh gosh, something to do with their health. It can be something totally unrelated to their responsibilities, but your fear about, that's my daughter's been sick for a long time. So, that's the thought of just like, oh gosh, her health generally. And wow, we can all disappear down the wormhole on a topic like that and think that because we have these night terrors that in some ways that's real. That's not real. Like the next day, if you don't cling on to the story, the next day you feel totally differently. But if we're clinging on going, there's a problem, there's a problem, there's a problem, there's a problem, guess what? Like there's a problem that creates a serious problem. The problem's with you, with us, and that then becomes our version of our way of looking at our child. That's then their problem, and then we'll probably tell them about it, like make that their problem. So sometimes we're like in self-destruction, and we really need to watch out for that. Yes, I'm putting myself under so much pressure to meet expectations from school, family, society, her dad, and again it's me doing this and it's all unnecessary. Is when I just let that go, we're okay. I think a lot stems from being a solo mama. I'm overcompensating, and because I fear failing them, I'm unable to let go and trust the girls fully. I'm getting clear about areas where the girls need me to be their mum and fully in their corner. And I think we know when that's what is being called for. For Illy, the rest is just about me trusting her, letting her find her own way, and totally having her back. Yeah, having her back, supporting her. Yeah, brilliant. Yeah, completely. So there's something for us all to relate to about piling the pressure on ourselves and just being anxious and thinking there's a problem. And I said, how are your play dates with your kids? And of course, in separated families, or if you're situations like a bit sort of, your different houses, different time with your kids, whatever, finding time with teens. That's what Jerry said. It's hard to find that time. And that is true. So, each circumstance is completely different. Sometimes they're under our roof and it's hard to find time with them because they're just sealed in their bedrooms, and we've lost them, temporarily, or they're not showing up much in our space. So sometimes it can be hard to get time with them and they're next door. And sometimes it can be hard to get time with them and they're not with us. They're not in the house. They're not in the same city, or they're not in, they're not having time with us that week or whenever. So we have to look at what circumstance we're in. But it's a great heads up. I love, Jerry, you said, I do like the idea of having regular one-on-ones. So that is something that all of us, me too, from here on in. And I mean, I am like a workaholic or something, it seems. I just you know, maybe I hope to retire soon. But it's been a very intense period of working since I've been a dad. So you know, finding that time, really making that commitment to a weekly time with each child where it's one-on-one. That's what's so powerful also. It's like breaking out. Like I said with my dad, it was so rare that we had one-on-one time together. We would play tennis and stuff together. Maybe it wasn't that rare, but you know, just time, regular. Yeah, you know, we're all used to this model of you know, parents working very hard and getting back late. And again, if that's our circumstance, that is completely as it is. That's fine. And we're working, no doubt, so hard because we want to provide for our children. But yeah, it can be hard to get the time, can be hard to get their buy-in. There's a few of us in this group, in fact, quite a few, where, you know, it's not so simple, date night, not so simple to like get them to go, yay, let's do it. I'm sure that's true for many parents worldwide and in this group. So yeah, also, you know, our teens are growing away from us. Like that is just developmentally, that's the point. That's what's meant to be happening now. And that is quite shocking for parents. It's pretty shocking that suddenly you're like, wow, I'm losing them. You know, this is it. They're moving away. So we don't want to cling on either, you know, like that we've got to go with their flow. If we can't get hold of them or they don't want to show up for a date night every week, whatever, that's just what we've got to work with. They're busy. They're beginning to like become independent and self everything, you know. So, you know, we want that in a way, of course, whilst keeping them close and having that essential relationship with them in whichever way we can. But you know, our role now is kind of to release them safely into the world and watch them go off and just to be there for them in all the ways that we can and that they want. And it reminds me, I met a mum in Goa a while ago. In fact, we'd just had our kids and I was off like gallivanting around in India with a music project. Bless Sam. Thank you, Sam, for that time when she was looking after the kids back home. They were like 3 and 1.5. And I was off on this mad brilliant music project. Trying to empowerment through music. So it was a brilliant project, but it was yeah. And I met a mum in Goa and I was there going, wow, like child free in a way, like, you know, it was a heavy time, 3 and 1.5. It was a lot of work, and I couldn't help enjoying, of course, like being in India for that time whilst missing all of them a great deal. But I met this mum, and anyway, she was at the other end of the spectrum. She was there in Goa, and her kids were both leaving home, and she was just heartbroken, like completely, like they were 18 and 20 or something, and she was just like going in a way to Goa and to this retreat center to like piece it all back together, having just like said goodbye to her kids, you know, start a new life. And it was such an interesting meeting because it really made me just go like, wow, you know, I was kind of pleased to be liberated from the intense work of very young children. But that's where it ends up, you know, it ends up you like fall completely in love with them. You go through all the different phases, and of course you pour all your time in, and then they go, you know, they kind of, you release them into the world. So that's also part of this, you know, like we're not trying to keep them close, we're also trying to go, okay, we're not the main event anymore, you know, we're not the one that they kind of want to be with the whole time, and you know, they're moving on.